Next is public input, 6.1. Public input, you can come up and discuss anything that's not on the agenda. Just know that the board will not be able to address it. However, we will after or during or somewhere after the meeting get you in touch with the department or supervisor in the district. So if you have public input, please come up to the front, state your name for the record, and we'll give you 3 minutes.
Chairman Crandall, supervisors, I was here last week and presented a concern concerning the watershed official survey that was put out. I asked 3 questions. I sent an email out following that with the documents for your convenience so you could take a look at them. I asked the question, did the supervisors know of this survey? How much did we pay for SCI Consulting for this survey, and who approved the effort? I have since found some information that it looks like it was approved by the board in 2023 to do some kind of survey like this. I can't believe in reading the survey that the board would have approved what the survey is. So I received no feedback except here recently about that. At some point in time, I would appreciate us having a frank discussion about this. Transparency is critical for this kind of issue. Since then, since last week, I've been approached by several citizens of Lake County, some who received the official survey and some who had heard about it from others. Straight to the point, there is a concern about being deceived by the board because of this survey. Some have received, or excuse me, some have said that this is a ploy to shield the board from involvement in raising taxes. There are questions that this has happened before. Has this happened before? In other words, is this a standard practice of the board to run this kind of propaganda in trying to raise our taxes? I do not entertain such conspiracy theories. I don't entertain these conspiracy theories, but without an honest discussion with the board, it is not possible to determine the truth without performing an audit of the budget, the actuals for the budget, and then performing an efficiency review. I did this for many, many years with some pretty big companies. The federal government calls this a Doge. We now have a group assembling that has the intent to perform these audits and report back our findings. I thank you for what you guys do here. You don't have an easy job. You got a lot of rabble-rousers. You got people that aren't happy. You make decisions that 50% of the people aren't happy. But I encourage you to be transparent with what you're doing. Transparency is critical. So I thank you. And I look forward to, at some point in time, having a discussion with the board concerning this.
What's that? Oh, yes, sir. I know we got your name last week, but if you can let us know your name for the record.
Patrick Ridgel.
Patrick Ridgel.
408-807-4973.
408.
Thank you.
I didn't get that.
Good morning, Tom Lasik. This is an issue that is not on the agenda for the Board of Supervisors, but it is on the agenda for the Planning Commission, which is in 2 days. If you recall, back March 18th, this board, when it was discussing the Cannabis Ordinance Task Force, all of the board members requested that you can't outdo a pet when it comes to stuff like this, but requested to see the information first before it went to the Planning Commission. I think Supervisor Tues first brought it up. According to the transcript that I reviewed, Supervisor Pyska said she would also like to see the summary beforehand. Ms. Owen also said yes, and Vice Chair Rasmussen said he would also like to see the information beforehand, and Chair Crandall reiterated that and confirmed that the board received a formal consensus that they would like to see that information come before the board before it went to the Planning Commission. Also in the transcript, Director Turner said she could do that it was a good idea and it made sense. However, it is on the agenda for Thursday, and I do not believe the board has yet seen it, and I'm respectfully requesting that somehow the board or CDD ask to have that pushed to a date time uncertain to allow the board to see it as they originally requested. And then also just to note that some of the things that were agreed to be put in the list, considerations from the public, still aren't there. So I think in order to avoid conflict, it would be a good idea to follow the request that the board put forward back in March.
And that was for cannabis?
What's
That
that?
was for cannabis?
That was the Cannabis Ordinance Task Force update, March 18th. Around an hour and 12 minutes into the recording, you can see the discussion. And I think it was the right thing to do. And I think, I mean, it's been almost 3 years. Another week or two wouldn't hurt, and it would allow you all to see it the way you originally requested. Thank you very much.
Any other public input? Go ahead.
Good morning, Chair Crandall, supervisors. Margot Kambara, your board approved Vision 2028. A Vision 2028 priority is being disregarded, specifically maintaining transparent and fair government. At your board's March 18th meeting of this year, your board directed community development on cannabis ordinance task force recommendations. Your board instructed CDD to bring a summary of task force recommendations to your board before asking input from other board-appointed bodies. Despite agreement by Community Development Director Turner, this action did not occur. On the Planning Commission meeting agenda for June 12th, 2 days from now, on the agenda is an item, quote, consideration of summary cannabis policy recommendations and requests for Planning Commission recommendation or recommendations. And this is counter to your board's instructions to CDD. At the March 18th cannabis update, Director Turner told your board that the ordinance revisions would go to your board, the Lake County Ag Advisory Committee, and then to the Planning Commission. I respectfully request that your board take action to restore your board's direction to Community Development Department concerning the cannabis ordinance recommendations. Please have the recommendations go to your board as instructed before going to the Ag Advisory Committee, before going to the PC, the Planning Commission. At present, it's premature for the Planning Commission to weigh in on the cannabis ordinance. Community concerns have not been addressed. If the only avenue of public comment on the cannabis ordinance is in 3-minute increments per community member before the Planning Commission, Ag Advisory Committee, and your board, community concerns will not be adequately addressed. A serious public policy discussion cannot be conducted in 3-minute increments. Not addressing community concerns is not fair and does not reflect transparent and fair government. Thank you.
Thank you. Is there any other public input in the chambers? How about on Zoom? Sam, can you make Johanna a co-host so she can unmute whoever's on Zoom that wants to speak for public input? All right, if you can state your name for the record.
Good morning, this is Omar Afifi with 3D Built. Start 3 minutes. My name is Omar Afifi. I'm a developer and I own a construction and a construction management firm. One of the former employees with Caltrans was the local government oversight, told me about your county to go do some of the development, senior citizens, senior housing in different counties and rural counties. So I thought I consider Lake County. So first, I like to get to know everybody. So I submitted a construction management proposal for one of your firm, one of my 3 companies, not the construction, not the development. It's a CM firm. It's an engineering firm. I submitted a proposal, and one of your projects was due on March 10th. Per the guidelines of the project, the announcement was supposed to happen in April. I reached out to the Glenn March, who was responsible for this in April, about 2 weeks after the deadline. He responded back to me a few days later that they're going through some internal issues. So I waited a couple of weeks, reached out to him. He never replied back. I reached out to him a month later. He still never replied back. I reached out a month and a half later, didn't reply back. So I got very frustrated with him not responding to my emails. I reached out to Susan Parker. I sent her an explanation that I followed the dates in the outline in the RFP and no response. And I gave her a list of the dates and everything. And instead, she responded back by saying, "Thank you for sharing your experience and concerns." Like it was a very condescending, nonchalant, "I don't really care what you, this is your feelings or something. This is not my feelings. This is what happened. This is the dates. I gave you the dates. I gave you a complaint. You're supposed to go at least go investigate." I told her we work with federal agencies. We work with cities, counties. And I was wondering when I was looking into development into different counties, you have one of the most beautiful counties in the state for development, for investment, for money, for companies to move there and establish presence. However, if they're going to deal with county officials like Susan Parker, like Glenn March, who ignore people, this county will never grow to the potential. I think you're as pretty as you have a county as pretty as San Diego County, but you're not experiencing the full potential of this county because you have public officials like this. I hope this doesn't continue. I hope this changes, and thank you very much.
All right, thank you. Any other hands in Zoom? All right, with that, we'll close public input.